Have you ever looked in the mirror and noticed something different about yourself, but couldn't quite put your finger on it? Maybe your eyes seemed brighter, or your skin had a new glow. What if these changes weren't just random, but actually signs of something much bigger happening inside you? Believe it or not, when someone goes through a spiritual awakening, their body can change in ways that might surprise you. In this video, we're going to talk about 7 unusual ways your body might transform when you're becoming more spiritual. These are changes that many people overlook, but they're happening all around us, every day. So, if you've been feeling different lately, or you've noticed changes in someone close to you, this video might just explain why. Before we dive into the physical changes, let's talk about what a spiritual awakening really is. Think of it like waking up from a long, deep sleep. When you're asleep, you're not really aware of what's going on around you. But when you wake up, suddenly everything becomes clear. A spiritual awakening is a lot like that. But instead of waking up from physical sleep, you're waking up to a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. When someone goes through a spiritual awakening, they start to see things differently. It's like they've been wearing foggy glasses their whole life, and suddenly someone's cleaned them. The world looks clearer, brighter, and often more beautiful. People who are awakening spiritually often start to question things they used to take for granted. They might wonder about the meaning of life, or start to feel a stronger connection to nature and other people. One important thing to remember is that a spiritual awakening isn't just for special people or religious leaders. It can happen to anyone at any time. You don't need to be perfect or have any special skills. Sometimes it happens after a big life change, like losing a job or going through a breakup. Other times it can sneak up on you, little by little, until one day you realize you're seeing the world in a whole new way. During a spiritual awakening, people often feel more alive and aware. They might start to notice little things they never paid attention to before, like the way leaves move in the wind or the emotions in someone's voice. It's like all their senses are turned up, and they're experiencing life in high definition. But a spiritual awakening isn't always easy. Sometimes it can feel confusing or even scary. People might feel lost for a while as they try to understand their new way of seeing things. They might question their old beliefs, or feel like they don't fit in with their old life anymore. This is all normal and part of the process. One of the most interesting things about a spiritual awakening is that it's different for everyone. Some people might have sudden, dramatic experiences that change their life overnight. Others might go through a slow, gentle process of change that takes months or even years. There's no right or wrong way to have a spiritual awakening. It's a personal journey that's unique to each person. As people go through this awakening process, they often start to make changes in their lives. They might become more interested in helping others or taking care of the environment. They might let go of old habits that don't serve them anymore, like gossiping or holding grudges. Many people find that they want to spend more time in nature or start practicing meditation or yoga. A spiritual awakening can also change how people see themselves. They might start to realize that they're more than just their job, their relationships, or their possessions. They begin to feel a deeper sense of who they are, beyond all the labels and roles they play in life. This can be really freeing and can help people feel more confident and at peace with themselves. It's important to know that a spiritual awakening isn't a one-time event. It's more like a journey that continues throughout your life. Even after the initial waking up, people keep growing and changing. They might have times where they feel super connected and aware, and other times where they feel a bit lost again. This is all part of the process, and it's nothing to worry about. In the end, a spiritual awakening is about becoming more aware, more connected, and more alive. It's about seeing the world and yourself in a new light and living in a way that feels more true and meaningful to you. And as we're about to discover, this inner change can actually show up in some pretty surprising ways on the outside too. Now that we understand what a spiritual awakening is, let's talk about something really fascinating: the connection between your body and your spirit. You might think that spiritual stuff is all in your mind or your heart, but the truth is, it affects your whole body too. Your body and your spirit are like best friends who are always talking to each other and influencing each other. Think of your body as a house and your spirit as the person living in it. When the person, your spirit, starts to change and grow, they might want to redecorate the house, your body, to match their new style. It's the same with spiritual awakening. As your spirit grows and changes, your body often changes too, to match this new energy. This connection between body and spirit isn't just some new age idea. More and more scientists are starting to study how our thoughts and feelings affect our physical health. They're finding out that when we're happy, grateful, or peaceful, our bodies actually work better. Our immune systems get stronger, our hearts work more efficiently, and we even age more slowly. On the flip side, when we're stressed, angry, or sad for a long time, our bodies can suffer. We might get sick more often, or feel tired all the time. This shows us that our inner world, our thoughts, feelings, and spiritual state, has a big impact on our outer world, including our physical bodies. When someone goes through a spiritual awakening, they often start to feel more connected to their body. They might become more aware of how different foods make them feel, or they might start to enjoy exercise more because it helps them feel grounded and present. This increased awareness can lead to changes in how they treat their body, which in turn can cause physical changes. It's also interesting to think about how our bodies can affect our spiritual state. Have you ever noticed how a walk in nature can make you feel more peaceful and connected? Or how taking deep breaths can help you feel calmer? These are examples of how we can use our bodies to support our spiritual growth. During a spiritual awakening, people often become more sensitive to energy. They might start to feel things more intensely, both emotionally and physically. This increased sensitivity can show up in their body in various ways. For example, they might find that they can't tolerate certain foods anymore, or that they need more sleep than they used to. One way to understand the body-spirit connection is to think about the chakras. Chakras are energy centers in the body that many spiritual traditions talk about. There are 7 main chakras, starting from the base of your spine and going up to the top of your head. Each chakra is associated with different physical and emotional aspects of our lives. When someone goes through a spiritual awakening, it's like these chakras are waking up and becoming more active. This can cause all sorts of changes in the body. For example, the throat chakra is associated with communication and self-expression. If this chakra becomes more active during a spiritual awakening, A person might find that their voice changes slightly, or that they suddenly feel more comfortable speaking their truth. Another important aspect of the body-spirit connection is the idea of vibration. Everything in the universe, including our bodies, is made up of energy that vibrates at different frequencies. When we go through a spiritual awakening, many people believe that our vibration increases. This higher vibration can cause changes in our physical body as it adjusts to this new energy. It's also worth noting that as we become more spiritually aware, we often start to take better care of our bodies. We might become more interested in eating healthy foods, exercising regularly, or getting enough sleep. This increased self-care can lead to physical changes that are noticeable to others. Some people experience what's called ascension symptoms during a spiritual awakening. These are physical sensations or changes that happen as our body adjusts to a higher spiritual vibration. These can include things like headaches, changes in sleep patterns, or feeling more sensitive to light and sound. While these symptoms can be uncomfortable, they're often seen as a sign that positive changes are happening. One interesting aspect of the body-spirit connection is how it can affect our perception of time. Many people going through a spiritual awakening report feeling like time is speeding up or slowing down. This change in time perception can actually affect our bodies too. We might find that we need less sleep, or that we have more energy throughout the day. The body-spirit connection also plays a role in how we interact with others. As we become more spiritually aware, we often become more sensitive to other people's energies. This can show up physically in various ways. For example, we might feel a tingling sensation when we're around certain people, or we might feel drained after spending time in crowded places. It's important to remember that while these physical changes can be signs of spiritual growth, they're not the goal in themselves. The real transformation is happening on the inside. The physical changes are just outward signs of this inner growth. As we go through a spiritual awakening, it's important to listen to our bodies. Our bodies often know what we need before our minds do. If we're feeling tired, it might be a sign that we need to slow down and rest. If we're feeling energized, it might be a good time to take on new challenges or explore new ideas. The body-spirit connection also reminds us of the importance of balance. While it's great to focus on spiritual growth, we shouldn't neglect our physical needs. Eating well, exercising, getting enough sleep, and taking care of our health are all important parts of supporting our spiritual journey. Some people find that as they become more spiritually aware, they develop new abilities or sensitivities. For example, they might become more intuitive, or they might start to sense energy fields around people or objects. These new abilities can take some getting used to, and they often come with physical sensations or changes. It's also worth noting that the body-spirit connection isn't just about individual health. Many spiritual traditions teach that as we become more awakened, we become more connected to the earth and all living things. This increased connection can lead to a desire to take better care of the environment and to live in a way that's more harmonious with nature. The body-spirit connection reminds us that we're whole beings. We're not just a mind or just a body or just a spirit. We're all of these things together. When we go through a spiritual awakening, it affects all parts of us. That's why it's so important to take a holistic approach to our growth and well-being. As we talk about the physical changes that can happen during a spiritual awakening, remember that everyone's experience is unique. You might experience some of these changes, all of them, or none of them. And that's okay. The most important thing is to stay open, curious, and kind to yourself as you go through this journey. Now that we understand the deep connection between our body and our spirit, let's dive into the first unusual physical change that people often experience during a spiritual awakening. You might be surprised by what your eyes can reveal about your inner growth. Changes in eye color or brightness, windows to the awakening soul. Have you ever heard the saying that eyes are the windows to the soul? Well, during a spiritual awakening, these windows might just get a makeover. One of the most fascinating and noticeable changes that can happen during a spiritual awakening is a shift in the appearance of your eyes. This isn't about your eyes suddenly turning from brown to blue overnight. Instead, it's more about a change in the quality of your eyes. A new sparkle, a different depth, or even a subtle shift in color that others might notice. Many people report that their eyes seem brighter or clearer during and after a spiritual awakening. It's as if the inner light that's growing inside them is literally shining through their eyes. This isn't just poetic language. Others can often see this change too. Friends or family members might comment that your eyes look different, even if they can't quite put their finger on what's changed. Sometimes the change can be more dramatic. Some people notice that their eye color seems to shift slightly. For example, someone with brown eyes might notice golden flecks appearing, or someone with blue eyes might see their eyes taking on a more intense or vibrant shade. These changes aren't usually drastic enough to completely alter your eye color, but they can be noticeable enough to make people do a double take. So why does this happen? From a spiritual perspective, many believe that as we awaken, our energy vibration increases. This higher vibration can affect our physical body, including our eyes. The eyes are often considered to be closely connected to our spiritual energy, so it makes sense that they might show signs of this inner transformation. There's also a scientific angle to consider. When we're happy, excited, or engaged, our pupils dilate and our eyes produce more moisture. This can make our eyes appear brighter and more alive. During a spiritual awakening, many people experience heightened emotions and a greater sense of engagement with life. This emotional and energetic shift could contribute to the changes we see in our eyes. Another interesting aspect of this change is how it affects the way we see the world. Many people going through a spiritual awakening report that colors seem more vivid, or that they notice details they never saw before. This could be partly due to physical changes in the eyes, but it's also likely related to an overall increase in awareness and presence. It's not just about how our eyes look, but also about how we use them. People going through a spiritual awakening often find that they make eye contact more easily and hold it for longer. There's a new depth to their gaze, as if they're really seeing the person in front of them, perhaps for the first time. This can be a powerful experience, both for the person going through the awakening and for those around them. Some people report experiencing a tingling sensation around their eyes or forehead during their spiritual awakening. This is often associated with the opening or activation of the third eye chakra, which is linked to intuition and spiritual insight. while this sensation is internal, it can sometimes contribute to a visible change in the appearance of the eyes. It's important to note that while these changes can be exciting, they're not the goal of a spiritual awakening. They're simply potential side effects of the inner transformation that's taking place. Not everyone will experience visible changes in their eyes, and that's perfectly okay. The real changes are happening on the inside. If you do notice changes in your eyes during your spiritual journey, it can be helpful to document them. Take photos over time, or keep a journal of what you and others notice. This can be a beautiful way to track your journey and remind yourself of the growth you're experiencing. Remember, these changes in your eyes are just one possible sign of a spiritual awakening. They often come hand in hand with other changes, both internal and external. As we continue to explore these signs, you might start to recognize patterns in your own experience or in those around you. Next on our list of physical changes that can occur during a spiritual awakening is something that might make you look like you've just come back from a relaxing vacation. Changes in your skin. Many people report that their skin seems to take on a new glow or radiance as they progress on their spiritual journey. It's as if their inner light is literally shining through their skin. This change in skin appearance isn't about suddenly looking younger or having all your blemishes disappear overnight. Instead, it's more about a subtle shift in the quality of your skin. Your complexion might appear clearer, more vibrant, or somehow more alive. Some people describe it as a kind of inner radiance that seems to shine from within. So why does this happen? There are a few possible explanations. From a spiritual perspective, many believe that as we awaken, our energy or vibration increases. This higher vibration can affect our physical body, including our skin. It's like our skin becomes a better conductor for the increased spiritual energy we're experiencing. There's also a more down-to-earth explanation. During a spiritual awakening, many people naturally start to take better care of themselves. They might improve their diet, drink more water, get more sleep, or start a meditation practice. All of these lifestyle changes can have a positive effect on skin health, leading to a clearer, more radiant complexion. Stress is known to have a negative impact on our skin, causing everything from acne to premature aging. As people go through a spiritual awakening, they often develop better ways of coping with stress. They might become more mindful, more accepting of life's challenges, or better at letting go of things they can't control. This reduction in stress can have a noticeable positive effect on the skin. Another interesting aspect of this skin change is how it relates to emotions. Our emotions can have a big impact on our skin. Just think about how your face flushes when you're embarrassed or breaks out when you're stressed. During a spiritual awakening, many people experience a shift in their emotional landscape. They might feel more joy, peace, or contentment. These positive emotions can contribute to a healthy, radiant glow. Some people report that their skin becomes more sensitive during their spiritual awakening. They might find that they react to certain skincare products or environmental factors that never bothered them before. This increased sensitivity isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can be seen as a sign that you're becoming more attuned to your body's needs and more aware of how different things affect you. It's also worth noting that this glow isn't just about how your skin looks, but also about how you carry yourself. As people go through a spiritual awakening, they often develop more self-confidence and self-acceptance. This inner change can reflect in how they present themselves to the world, giving them a kind of glow that goes beyond just skin deep. Some people find that old skin issues start to clear up during their spiritual awakening. This could be due to lifestyle changes, reduced stress, or even a shift in how they view and treat their body. It's as if the increased self-love and acceptance they're feeling on the inside is showing up on the outside too. While these skin changes can be exciting, it's important to remember that they're not the goal of a spiritual awakening. They're simply potential side effects of the inner transformation that's taking place. Not everyone will experience noticeable changes in their skin, and that's perfectly okay. The real changes are happening on the inside. If you do notice changes in your skin during your spiritual journey, it can be a great opportunity to practice self-love and acceptance. Instead of focusing on fixing perceived flaws, try to appreciate the unique way your inner growth is showing up in your physical appearance. Remember, these changes in your skin are just one possible sign of a spiritual awakening. They often come hand in hand with other changes, both internal and external. As we continue to explore these signs, you might start to recognize patterns in your own experience or in those around you. Now let's talk about something that might come as a surprise during a spiritual awakening: changes in your weight. This isn't about going on a diet or starting a new exercise routine. Instead, many people report that their weight naturally shifts, either up or down, as they go through their spiritual journey. It's as if their body is adjusting itself to match their new inner state. For some people, this might mean losing weight without really trying. They might find that they naturally start to eat less, or that they're drawn to healthier foods. It's not about forcing themselves to diet, but rather about their body naturally letting go of what it no longer needs. This weight loss can happen gradually or sometimes quite quickly. On the other hand, some people find that they gain weight during their spiritual awakening. This might seem counterintuitive, but it can actually be a sign of positive change. Sometimes, as we open up spiritually, we also open up emotionally. We might start to process feelings that we've been pushing down for years. For some people, this can lead to temporary weight gain as their body adjusts to these changes. It's important to understand that there's no right way for your weight to change during a spiritual awakening. Some people might not experience any noticeable weight changes at all, and that's perfectly okay. The key is to listen to your body and trust that it knows what it needs during this time of transformation. So why do these weight changes happen? From a spiritual perspective, many believe that as we awaken, we start to release old energies and patterns that no longer serve us. This release can manifest physically as weight loss. On the flip side, if we're taking in new energies or processing old emotions, this might show up as weight gain. There's also a more practical explanation. As people go through a spiritual awakening, they often become more mindful of their bodies and their eating habits. They might naturally start to eat when they're hungry and stop when they're full, rather than eating out of boredom or emotion. This increased awareness can lead to weight changes without any conscious effort to diet. Another interesting aspect of this weight change is how it relates to self-image. During a spiritual awakening, many people start to let go of societal expectations about how they should look. They might become more accepting of their bodies, regardless of size or shape. This shift in perspective can actually lead to physical changes as the body responds to this new, more loving attitude. Some people find that their relationship with food changes during their spiritual awakening. They might become more interested in where their food comes from, or they might start to view eating as a sacred act. This new relationship with food can lead to changes in eating habits and consequently changes in weight. It's also worth noting that weight changes during a spiritual awakening aren't always about fat loss or gain. Some people report feeling lighter in a way that goes beyond physical weight. This might be due to releasing emotional baggage or letting go of old beliefs that were weighing them down. For some people, weight changes during a spiritual awakening can be quite dramatic. They might find that their body naturally settles at a weight that's quite different from what they're used to. This can take some getting used to, especially if you've been trying to control your weight for a long time. While these weight changes can be surprising, it's important to remember that they're not the goal of a spiritual awakening. They're simply potential side effects of the inner transformation that's taking place. The most important thing is to be kind to your body and trust that it's doing what it needs to do to support your spiritual growth. If you do notice weight changes during your spiritual journey, it can be helpful to approach them with curiosity rather than judgment. Instead of labeling the changes as good or bad, try to see them as interesting information about what's happening in your body and spirit. Remember, these changes in your weight are just one possible sign of a spiritual awakening. They often come hand in hand with other changes, both internal and external. As we continue to explore these signs, you might start to recognize patterns in your own experience or in those around you. It's also important to note that while these weight changes are often harmless and even beneficial, any dramatic or unexplained changes in weight should be checked out by a healthcare professional. Your spiritual journey should support your overall health and well-being, not compromise it. As we continue our exploration of the physical changes that can occur during a spiritual awakening, we come to a surprising and sometimes challenging shift: the development of new allergies or food sensitivities. This might seem odd at first. How could becoming more spiritually aware make you suddenly unable to eat foods you've enjoyed your whole life? But for many people going through a spiritual awakening, this is exactly what happens. These new sensitivities aren't always about severe allergic reactions. More often, people find that certain foods they used to love just don't agree with them anymore. You might notice that you feel sluggish or bloated after eating dairy, or that caffeine makes you feel jittery when it never did before. Some people find that they suddenly can't tolerate alcohol, or that meat doesn't sit well with them anymore. So why does this happen? From a spiritual perspective, many believe that as we raise our vibration during a spiritual awakening, our body becomes more sensitive to lower vibration foods. Foods that are processed, filled with chemicals, or that come from animals that weren't treated well, might start to feel heavy or unpleasant in our system. There's also a more practical explanation. As we become more aware during a spiritual awakening, we often become more in tune with our bodies. We might start to notice how different foods make us feel in a way we never did before. It's not that these foods suddenly became bad for us. It's that we're now aware of how they've been affecting us all along. This increased awareness can lead to some interesting changes in diet. Many people find themselves naturally drawn to whole plant-based foods during their spiritual awakening. They might crave more fruits and vegetables, or feel called to try new, healthier ways of eating. This isn't about forcing yourself to eat a certain way. It's about listening to what your body truly wants and needs. For some people, these new sensitivities can be frustrating at first. It can be hard to give up foods you've always enjoyed, especially if they're part of your cultural traditions or social life. But many people find that as they adjust their diet to match their new sensitivities, they start to feel better than ever before. They might have more energy, clearer skin, or better digestion. It's important to approach these changes with an open mind and a sense of curiosity. Instead of getting upset about foods you can no longer eat, try to see it as an opportunity to explore new foods and ways of eating. You might discover delicious, healthy alternatives that make you feel great. Some people find that their tastes change dramatically during a spiritual awakening. Foods they never liked before might suddenly become appealing, while old favorites lose their appeal. This can be a fun opportunity to expand your palate and try new things. It's also worth noting that these sensitivities can sometimes be temporary. As your body adjusts to its new energy state, you might find that you can reintroduce some foods later on. The key is to listen to your body and trust what it's telling you. While these new sensitivities can be a sign of spiritual growth, it's important to approach them in a balanced way. If you're experiencing severe reactions or dramatic changes in your ability to eat, it's a good idea to consult with a healthcare professional. Your spiritual journey should enhance your health, not compromise it. Remember, everyone's journey is unique. You might experience dramatic changes in your food sensitivities, or you might not notice any changes at all. Either way is perfectly okay. The most important thing is to stay tuned into your body and give it what it needs to support your spiritual growth. As we delve deeper into the physical signs of spiritual awakening, we come to a change that's all about how you carry yourself in the world. Improvements in posture and the way you move. This might seem like a small thing, but it can actually be one of the most noticeable outward signs of your inner transformation. Many people report that as they progress on their spiritual journey, they find themselves standing taller, moving more gracefully, and generally feeling more comfortable in their own skin. It's as if their body is naturally aligning itself to match their new, more awakened state of being. So why does this happen? From a spiritual perspective, it's often seen as a physical manifestation of increased self-confidence and self-awareness. As you become more in tune with your true self and your place in the universe, this inner alignment starts to show up in how you physically align your body. There's also a more practical explanation. Many spiritual practices, like meditation or yoga, encourage better posture and body awareness. As you spend more time in these practices, you might find that you naturally start to sit and stand straighter, even when you're not actively thinking about it. This improved posture isn't just about looking good. It can actually have a big impact on how you feel. When you stand tall and move with confidence, you're likely to feel more confident. It's a positive feedback loop. Your inner growth leads to better posture, which in turn reinforces your sense of confidence and well-being. Some people find that they become more graceful in their movements during a spiritual awakening. They might move more slowly and deliberately, with a new sense of presence and mindfulness. This can make everyday activities like walking or even doing the dishes feel more meaningful and enjoyable. It's not uncommon for people to report feeling more grounded or centered in their bodies during a spiritual awakening. This can translate to improved balance, both literally and figuratively. You might find that you're less clumsy or that you feel more stable when standing or moving. For some people, this change in posture and movement comes with a release of old tensions or pain. Areas of chronic tightness might start to loosen up as you let go of old emotional baggage. Some people even find that long-standing back or neck pain starts to improve as their posture naturally aligns. It's important to note that these changes often happen gradually. You might not wake up one day suddenly standing like a ballet dancer. Instead, it's more likely that you'll slowly notice yourself feeling more comfortable and confident in your body over time. This improved posture and way of moving can have social effects too. People often report that others respond to them differently when they carry themselves with more confidence and presence. You might find that people are more drawn to you or that you command more respect in social situations. While these changes can be exciting, it's important to remember that there's no perfect posture or way of moving. The goal isn't to force yourself into some ideal position, but rather to find a way of being in your body that feels natural and comfortable for you. If you're interested in supporting this aspect of your spiritual awakening, there are many practices that can help. Yoga, Tai Chi, and other mindful movement practices can be great ways to improve your body awareness and alignment. Even simple things like taking regular stretch breaks or practicing good posture when you sit can make a big difference. Remember, like all aspects of spiritual awakening, changes in posture and movement are unique to each individual. You might experience dramatic changes, or you might notice more subtle shifts. Either way is perfectly okay. The most important thing is to stay tuned into your body and honor its wisdom as you continue on your spiritual journey. As we near the end of our exploration of physical changes during spiritual awakening, we come to a shift that can have a big impact on your daily life: changes in your sleep patterns. Many people find that as they progress on their spiritual journey, their relationship with sleep transforms in unexpected ways. For some, this might mean needing less sleep than before. You might find yourself naturally waking up earlier, feeling refreshed and energized, even if you've slept fewer hours than usual. This isn't about forcing yourself to sleep less. It's more like your body has become more efficient at rejuvenating itself during sleep. On the flip side, some people find that they need more sleep during certain phases of their spiritual awakening. You might feel the need to nap during the day or to sleep in later than usual. This extra sleep isn't laziness. It's often your body's way of processing the intense changes you're going through. One common experience during spiritual awakening is waking up in the middle of the night, often around 3 or 4 a.m. This time, sometimes called the spiritual hour, is traditionally associated with heightened spiritual activity. You might find yourself feeling wide awake and alert during these early morning hours, perhaps with insights or inspirations flowing freely. Many people report having more vivid or memorable dreams during their spiritual awakening. Your dreams might become more colorful, more detailed, or more meaningful. Some people even start to experience lucid dreams, where they're aware that they're dreaming and can control the dream's events. It's not uncommon to experience sleep disruptions during a spiritual awakening. You might have periods of insomnia, or find that your sleep is lighter and more easily interrupted than before. While this can be frustrating, many people find that even if they're sleeping less, they still feel rested and energized during the day. Some people find that their sleep position changes during their spiritual awakening. You might suddenly feel more comfortable sleeping on your back when you've always been a side sleeper, for example. This could be related to changes in energy flow in your body. It's important to listen to your body during these sleep changes. If you're feeling tired, allow yourself to rest. If you're feeling energized with less sleep, enjoy it, but be mindful not to push yourself too hard. Your body knows what it needs to support your spiritual growth. Many people find that establishing a bedtime routine can be helpful during this time. This might include meditation, gentle stretching, or reading spiritual texts before bed. These practices can help signal to your body that it's time to rest and can support more peaceful sleep. Remember, like all aspects of spiritual awakening, changes in sleep patterns are unique to each individual. You might experience dramatic shifts in your sleep, or you might notice only subtle changes. Either way is perfectly okay. The key is to stay tuned in to your body's needs and to approach these changes with curiosity and acceptance. As we come to our final sign of physical changes during spiritual awakening, we arrive at a shift that can truly transform how you experience the world: heightened senses. Many people find that as they progress on their spiritual journey, their senses become more acute, allowing them to perceive the world around them with newfound clarity and intensity. This heightening of the senses isn't about developing superhuman abilities. Instead, it's more like the volume on your senses has been turned up. Colors might seem brighter or more vivid. Sounds that you never noticed before might suddenly catch your attention. You might become more sensitive to smells, or find that your sense of touch becomes more acute. For some people, this heightening of the senses can be overwhelming at first. You might find yourself feeling overstimulated in environments that never bothered you before. Loud noises might feel more jarring, or bright lights might seem too intense. This isn't a bad thing. It's just your body adjusting to its new level of sensitivity. Many people report that food tastes different during their spiritual awakening. You might find that you can taste subtle flavors that you never noticed before, or that you're more sensitive to the textures of different foods. This can lead to a whole new appreciation for eating and can make meals a more mindful, enjoyable experience. Some people find that they become more sensitive to energy during their spiritual awakening. You might start to feel the vibe of different places or people more acutely. Some people even report being able to sense auras or energy fields around living things. This heightening of the senses often goes hand in hand with an increased appreciation for beauty. You might find yourself stopping to admire flowers that you would have walked past before, or being moved to tears by a beautiful piece of music. It's like you're seeing the world with new eyes, hearing it with new ears. For some people, this increased sensitivity extends to their intuition. You might find that you're more in tune with your gut feelings, or that you have hunches that turn out to be right more often than not. This isn't about becoming psychic. It's more about becoming more attuned to the subtle information that your senses are always picking up. It's important to take care of yourself as you adjust to these heightened senses. You might need to make some changes to your environment, like using softer lighting or finding quieter spaces to relax. Some people find that spending time in nature helps them to ground themselves and adjust to their new level of sensitivity. Remember, everyone's experience with heightened senses is different. You might find that all of your senses become more acute, or you might notice changes in just one or two senses. You might experience dramatic shifts or more subtle changes. All of these experiences are valid and normal parts of the spiritual awakening process. As with all aspects of spiritual awakening, the key is to approach these changes with curiosity and acceptance. Rather than getting frustrated by increased sensitivity, try to see it as an opportunity to experience the world in a richer, more vibrant way. As we come to the end of our exploration of the physical changes that can occur during a spiritual awakening, it's important to take a moment to reflect on the incredible journey we've discussed. From changes in our eyes and skin to shifts in our weight, posture, sleep patterns, and senses, we've seen how a spiritual awakening can truly transform us from the inside out. These physical changes are not the goal of a spiritual awakening, but rather potential side effects of the profound inner transformation that's taking place. They serve as tangible reminders of the growth and evolution we're experiencing on our spiritual journey. It's crucial to remember that everyone's spiritual awakening is unique. You might experience all of these physical changes, some of them, or none at all. You might go through them in a different order or experience them more or less intensely than others. All of these experiences are valid and normal. There's no right way to go through a spiritual awakening. As you navigate these changes, it's important to approach them with curiosity, patience, and self-compassion. Some of these shifts might be challenging or uncomfortable at first. You might feel overwhelmed by new sensitivities or frustrated by changes in your sleep patterns. Remember that these are all part of the process of growth and transformation. Listen to your body during this time. It has wisdom to share with you. If you need more rest, allow yourself to rest. If you're drawn to new foods or activities, explore them. Trust that your body knows what it needs to support your spiritual growth. While these physical changes can be exciting and affirming, remember that the real transformation is happening on the inside. The most important changes are the ones happening in your consciousness, your growing awareness, your expanding compassion, your deepening connection to yourself and the world around you. If you're experiencing these changes, consider keeping a journal to track your experiences. This can be a powerful tool for self-reflection and can help you see patterns and progress over time. It can also be a source of encouragement when you're facing challenges. Remember to take care of your physical health as you go through these changes. Eat nourishing foods, stay hydrated, get regular exercise, and make time for rest and relaxation. If you have concerns about any of the physical changes you're experiencing, don't hesitate to consult with a healthcare professional. Finally, remember that a spiritual awakening is not a destination, but a journey. These physical changes are not the end goal, but rather signposts along the way. They're reminders of the incredible capacity for growth and transformation that we all carry within us. As you continue on your spiritual journey, stay open to the changes that come. Embrace the mystery of transformation. Trust in the process. And above all, be kind to yourself as you navigate this profound and beautiful journey of awakening. Whether you're just starting to notice these changes or you're well along your spiritual path, remember that you're not alone. Many others have walked this path before you, and many are walking it alongside you now. Your journey is unique, but you're part of a larger community of seekers and awakening souls. May your journey of spiritual awakening continue to unfold in beautiful and unexpected ways, bringing you ever closer to your true self and your highest potential.